Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my first impressions on Wisp. Now, from the get-go, Wisp is going to be like Marmite. You're either going to love her or you're going to hate her, and how experienced of a player you are is going to determine whether you love her or you hate her, right? So a newer player probably isn't going to like Wisp that much because you don't have the mods and the know-how to kind of tailor her kit to your playstyle, where an experienced player is going to have all the mods and stuff and have the know-how onto what to build and all that jazz that will really make or break the experience with Wisp, or their experience with Wisp, because there's a lot of different ways to build this frame. You can build her as a tank, you can build her as a caster, you can build her for damage, you can build her for CC. I'm going to be showing you guys two different builds, which is kind of like an all-around, let's focus on the buffs of the kit build, and each build is going to have their own thing, which you kind of have to pay attention to. So one of the builds is about paying attention to your abilities and the upkeep of them, so like how long they're up for, where the other build is all about paying attention to your energy and how fast that's draining and how you can keep it up and stuff like that. So using outside sources to keep your energy up and all of that jazz. But this frame's design checks off the boxes: audio, visuals, animations, how fluid it is to play. Like, you can use every single ability off this frame while on the move. So here's the 1, here's the 2, here's the 3, and then here's the 4. That's insane. I think that is such good design, and it just makes sense in a omega fast-paced game. There's no reason that every single frame shouldn't play like that. Like, you should be able to cast all of your abilities at least somewhat on the move. I understand that there's going to be a few abilities in the game which, you know, it's going to be some big massive thing which you might have to stand still for, or at least be slowed down for. But we're talking about these omega agile ninjas in space, right, with fucking superpowers, man. So, you know, I would like more frames in future to kind of follow suit with Wisp and really have that fluid kit, right, where you can just cast everything on the move. So that's awesome. This animation is awesome. Sprinting animation is awesome. Standing still animation is awesome. Noble and agile animations are awesome. It's great. It's awesome. I might sound like a fanboy right now, but Wisp is so well designed, it's ridiculous. So let's talk about the abilities, right? So first ability is Reservoirs. So this is the first ability right here. I put down this little thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and cast it again, just in a different area. So we go ahead and we hit this, and I put down the Reservoir. Now, in this Reservoir, we are getting a health regen buff and a max health capacity buff. So you can see beside my health and shields, I have a little buff symbol, and it says 67. That's the effectiveness of my buff, 67%. Whenever I leave this little circle, a duration timer starts ticking. Whenever I go into it, it's infinite, right? So you can go in and out of this little circle, or the effective range of this little pot right here, to refresh the duration on this buff, right? Now, this is the health one right here. You've got two other ones. So you have a haste one, which is this green yellowish one. Go ahead and put that on. So you can see that we are much faster now. We have an increased fire rate, and we also have an increased melee attack speed, which is great. 45% top right hand corner. We go out of this, we have a timer. We go back into our red one. The timer on it resets. We go into your yellow one or green one. Resets again. We have our shock one, which is basically CC and damage. So we've got this. Whenever you get near a bad guy, they're going to be sapped, just stunned, electric proc. That's all that one is. So there's no like percentage buff or anything like that. It's just a nice CC effect that you can carry around with you. So the buffs that you have active are displayed by these little pots that are floating around you, right? So pretty easy visual way to tell if your buff is up or not is all of the pots flying around you at all times, and that's what you want. So you can have 6 of these pots down at all times. Of course, I recommend putting down 2 of each, so 2 of your health ones, 2 of your speed ones, and then 2 of your electric ones. You can maybe even just put down 1 of the electric ones, completely neglect it. It's up to you, because the electric one, it is nice CC, but it's not necessary because she does have a pretty decent CC ability anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on from that. That is basically that ability. It is probably one of her best abilities as well because of the insane health health buff and health regen buff, and also the speed buff is pretty good too. Skills with power, strength, range, and duration. So those are the mods that you got to keep in mind if you want to mod for this ability in particular. So moving on to the second ability, this is a teleport, and everybody memed this ability because they're like, wow, just another ripoff of Loki's decoy, right? So I love this ability. I think it's great for movement. I've been able to pull off some wacky shots on stream with this ability, and a lot of people have been like, wow, that's super cool. So let's go ahead and show it off. So if you tap 2, you're going to send out a Wispy Wisp. All right, you're going to send out a Wispy Wisp, tap it, you tap it again, you're going to teleport to it. If you hold it down and let go, you're going to teleport to it. Okay, so you send it out, teleport to it, and that's if you're holding it down. Now, you'll notice whenever I teleport to it, I become invulnerable, right? I take no damage. So you should be using this to get around a shit ton, okay? So you've already got the potential to mod in 2 different ways. You could build for a tanky wisp, focusing on power strength, adaptation, vitality, whatnot, increasing your maximum health as much as you can, and maybe even armor if you're ballsy, and then having this really super high effective health pool. Or you can build for complete caster and just keep on spamming your 2 to survive. So there's 2 different methods of surviving there, which is great design. Giving the players the options to play how they want is awesome. Okay, so that is basically your second ability. There's some cool interactions with the third ability on the second ability, which we're going to go ahead and demonstrate right now after we explain the third ability. The third ability is a Radial Blind, except it's Wisp's version of Radial Blind, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to hit our free, and what happens is those little wisps come out of Wisp, and they're going to go to enemies, and it's going to stun them. Radial Blind, I think it opens them up to finishers as well. And what's going to happen is it actually has a status chance attached to it too. So it's got the potential to rad proc enemies. So with this current build that I'm using, I think it's got a 53% chance. Let's just go ahead and double check the builds for the config B actually, because that's the one that I want to demonstrate. So config B is my more power strength heavy one. We go ahead and we hit this. It's going to have radiation effect on the enemies. It's going to stun them, and it also lets you like transfer damage from one enemy to the other. It amplifies the damage that you're dealing one enemy or to one enemy and then sends it to the other enemy. And the only way that I can really demonstrate that is if I spawn in these techs and then I shoot at one and then just let you see the effect happen. So if we go ahead, we hit our free, they're blind, I shoot, you can see those little wisps coming from the enemy that I'm shooting and going to these other enemies. Now, stacking power strength onto this is going to increase a damage multiplier, and I'm not too sure what that damage multiplier does yet because there's been nothing that clarifies if it's like buffing up the damage from the 4 or buffing up the damage that you're dealing to the enemies or buffing up the damage off, you know, that little wispy thing which is attacking the other enemies or anything like that. Nothing to clarify, so I'm just making the assumption in this video that whenever these enemies are affected by my free and I'm shooting them, the damage that I'm dealing to this one enemy is being amplified and then transferred to another enemy, because that's just what it seems like from my very minimal testing within the simulacrum. I've had 2 days worth of playtime on Wisp, so I'm just basing it all off of that. But yeah, that's what the third ability does if you're using it on its own. It's really good, it's really spammable, and like I said, remember, you can cast all this stuff on the go as well, which is awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and get a little bit more energy. So this is the more energy heavy build where you have to pay attention to your energy more, because I do have a blind rage mod on, but because you have energize and dash, it's really not that big of an issue. But like I said, it's up to you which build you want to choose whenever I go ahead and show them. So yeah, so the third ability has some cool interactions with the 2 and the 1, right? So if we go ahead and we cast our 2 and then we hit our free comes out of our 2 as well, which is great. You can send this into a group of enemies and then hit it and then stun them from afar and then just lay into them and have all that damage or that radiation effect travel to enemies around them. So radiation is going to make the enemies fight one another, for those of you who are new to Warframe and didn't know that. So that's really, really good. That's a great CC ability. The other thing on top of that is you can use your third ability to teleport to one of your reservoirs, and if you teleport to one of your reservoirs, what's going to happen is the range of your third ability is going to be amplified, right? So you don't have to build for that much range on Wisp because your buffs you can just walk into to refresh the duration. Your second ability doesn't scale with range, it scales with duration, so how far it travels, I mean. So if we go ahead and we place this down, we aim at it, you can see this little circle, we press free, there we go, we just teleport it. So what I haven't tried yet is doing this. Actually, hold on, let's fire that way and then teleporting. I need more energy. Good job, Flynn. Let's go ahead and try it again. So if we place a reservoir here and we put a wisp going out that way, and we aim at that reservoir. Okay, so yeah, you can get the increased range from your own CC effect, and then you can also have the other wisp that you sent out doing that CC effect as well. So that's awesome, but it's a lot of using all of your abilities at the one time, which is why maybe this frame might not be for everybody, because like, oh yeah, you got to cast this, then you got to cast that, you got to do this other thing to really, you know, get the full benefits out of the frame, if you get what I mean. So yep, there's that. So let's go ahead and kill these enemies, and what we're going to do is we're going to spawn in bombards, level 160. They're going to be paused, and I know I'm going to get some guy in the comment section being like, if they're paused, you get the stealth damage bonus. You don't. That's only for melee weapons, Einstein. Do your research. But I'm going to show the 4 now, and the 4 is the ability that everybody wants to see because it's the big fucking, you know, praise the sun ability, where you literally have the sun in your hands, and it's a big beam, and it's damaging all the bad guys, and they're like, what the fuck do we do? And yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and swap frames real fast so I can get rid of the what's it called, the reservoirs that are around, because I need to demonstrate with and without, because if you have your buffs active, okay, you got your buffs active, then you're going to deal more damage with your 4, and I'll demonstrate that on a different group of bombards after we do it with Thingamajig. So your 4th ability works similar to Exalted Blade. If you picked up Excalibur as a starter, it's a drain over time ability, so probably closer to Mesa rather than Excalibur because it's got a high drain. So that means you want to be modding for duration and efficiency to make the drain of this ability as low as possible. So just as a little demonstration purpose, we go ahead and we go to this build. I've got 106% duration and 175% efficiency. We hover over my 4th ability, free drain per second, 6.25 initial cast, okay? Go to config B, which has low efficiency, but still great duration. We've got a drain per second of 8.99, so pretty high, and then the initial cast is 38.75. So, it's, like I said, the choice between these 2 builds is really going to be up to you and what style of player you are. So don't stress too much about the massive stat difference. I'll just explain it whenever we get to this part. But I'll show the super powerful build with a lot of power strength, and then I'll show it with the buffs. I won't show the other build with it though, because the 4th ability is okay. It's nothing insane. Use it to kill trash mobs. Don't use it on armored enemies like these guys, but I'm still going to demonstrate it first as these guys, just for demonstration purposes, to sort of let you know what it is that you're getting. You're not getting the super OP killing frame. You're getting the super fluid buffing CC frame with fucking great movement and utility and a little bit of damage. So yeah, that's basically Wisp. So let's go ahead and use the 1. You can hold down left click while using the 1 to amplify its damage for more energy over time, or energy per second. So I'll do without, and then I'll do it with. So on this row of enemies, we're doing it without the charge up on the left click. So I'm just going to let it run my energy completely dry, because this is the high power strength, low efficiency build. And you can see that we pretty much tickle the enemies by not holding down left click. We're taking what, if we're lucky, maybe half of their health away by the time that my 300 energy runs out. Of course, I'm not exactly aiming at this guy because he staggers backwards because of the heat proc and whatnot, but we're not exactly dealing the most damage in the world. And then at the end of your 4, you stagger backwards as well, which is, I mean, it's cool. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you got the sun in your hands and now you're staggering backwards. So let's go ahead and do that same thing while holding down left click. So our energy is going to run out a lot faster, but we're going to be dealing more damage. So here we go. Holding down left click, hear a different noise, and we're doing a lot more damage this time around, but for a lot more energy. And we are out. Rest in pieces. And I fell off the map. Feels bad. Not so epic games, okay? But really cool ability. Don't get me wrong. Super cool ability. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have all 3 of our reservoir buffs up. And then we're going to do that exact same thing because we get amplified damage. So you're definitely 110% going to be able to kill high-level armored enemies, implying you're playing this frame rate and you have all of your buffs up. So let's try it out. So we got our Vitality, our Haste, and our Shock. And we press R4. We hold down our left click. We deal a bunch more damage. It's insane. It's great. Don't think that this is included in the tooltip, but yeah, that's the thing. Let's go ahead and pick up a little bit more energy. And like I mentioned, your free has a damage multiplier. Not too sure if it's for the 4. I guess let's go ahead and test it now. Maybe it is. Think so, potentially. But what's going to happen as well, because they're affected by our free, that damage is going to be, you know, going to the other enemies. Think of Wisp free and the damage that jumps between enemy to enemy, kind of like Pack Seeker, you know? So, there you go. All that damage jump into the other enemies, so there's that. I'm using just toxin damage on my Soma because I was testing out versus Corpus to see if it would, like, jump the status effect, but unfortunately it doesn't. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats and, yeah, or the abilities on the screen. So, we got 38 Drain on our Reservoirs, just casting 1, radius of 7.25, buff duration of 62.1, max health 879, so that's the health buff that you're going to be getting, with health per second 87.9, which is insane. Haste mode 58% speed multiplier and a fire rate of 87%. Now this also increases your melee attack speed as well. It's just fire rate, but it's just worded differently. The attack speed, fire rate, more or less the same thing. And then you have your shock mode, 100% status chance with a range of 21.75 meters, and it affects up to 5 targets at a time. That's with this high power strength build that I'm showing. Will-O-Wisp, cast forward a spectral image of Wisp to confuse and distract enemies. So that's just your teleporting ability. 54 energy with a duration of 8 seconds. Duration doesn't matter too much. You could have 2 seconds on this and it would be just fine. But range doesn't affect, like, you know, the amount of enemies that, or which enemies are going to attack it. It's just enemies that catch aggro on it are going to attack it. That's how it works. We've got Breach Surge, which has a 77.5 drain, radius of 21 meters, blind duration of 33 seconds, damage multiplier of 5.86. Nothing there that really clarifies what that damage multiplier is for, which is why I'm a little bit confused by it. Status chance of 58%. Now that's the percentage chance to proc that rad effect whenever it's bouncing from your initial target to the other enemies, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and read it. Open a dimensional breach to overwhelm nearby enemies and cause them to release aggressive surge sparks when damaged. Wisp may also target a reservoir to teleport to it and double the range of the surge. So I'm just assuming that it's the, you shoot a bad guy and then it's going to take the damage that you dealt to that one bad guy, amplify it, and then send it to another enemy. I don't know. A little bit more clarification would be nice. Could be in the tips, but I'm not going to read all the tips in this video. Open a portal to the sun to irradiate enemies with a devastating beam of solar plasma. Drain 48.75, 8.99 drain per second, damage per second, 2.9k, radiation and heat, range 58 meters. Awesome, cool. The builds. This is your energy hungry build. This is the one that's going to take a shit ton of energy, but your duration is going to be a lot higher, and your strength is going to be a lot higher, so your buffs are going to be phenomenal. You should be using Energizing Dash from the Xenarch skill tree, energy pads, fucking Archean Energize if you have it, pickups from the enemies, you know, energy orbs, stuff like that. Maybe get a Hildren in your squad, an Eevee Trinity, and Wisp is going to be phenomenal to play with this build. It's going to be so fun, so rewarding. You're just going to go from point A to point B in no time, especially in the new game mode. Wisp shines in the new game mode, and the new game mode is so fun. I just wish the rewards were better in it. So I love this build. I think it's great. But if you're not into having, you know, your abilities take a shit ton of energy, Config A is going to be your go-to. It's lower duration, and the buffs are a lot less, but they're still pretty good. We got 225 power strength compared to 293. We've got more efficiency, 175, which is your max efficiency, and a duration of 106%. So your solar beam is only going to take 3 energy per second, and it's going to cost 6.25 to initially cast it. Your drain on your Breach Surge is 12.5. Your drain on your Will-O-Wisp is 8.75, and then drain on your Reservoirs is 6.25. So your Reservoirs don't have a duration. At least they didn't. Do they now? Yeah, that thing just stays up there. So that doesn't disappear. You can have down 6 of these at a time. It just stays there. It doesn't disappear. But the buff, whenever you're not in this power range, will disappear until you go back in and refresh it, right? So don't worry about this thing disappearing on you at all. It'll stay unless you like overcast. So here's our vitality one. If we go out of here and we cast another 6 haste ones, 3, 4, 5, 6, that one disappears then. So it's going to overwrite. The one that you place is going to overwrite your first one, right? So if you're placing one after you place your 6th, it's going to replace your first one. Okay, so yeah, it's down to you which build you want to use. I think that Wisp is great. I went for Umbral builds because I was enjoying the frame that much. I wasn't initially going to go for an Umbral build, but I thought, hey, why not? Might as well, because this frame is awesome. But yeah, just copy those builds exactly. This is the super fun one. This is the better safe than sorry. I just want to play the frame. And of course, you don't have to use the Umbral versions of the mods or the Prime versions because it's just overkill, honestly, for the current meta of Warframe. But Wisp is a super fun frame. I enjoyed the fuck out of playing her. She's not going to be replacing any of your in-game frames like Equinox, Octavia, Saren, Gara, whatnot. She doesn't have that great of scaling, but it's definitely attempted to be put in there. But she's just a very, very well-designed frame, and I think that whenever you invest the time into her, you're going to have a blast playing her, especially if you pair her with your favorite type of loadout, right? So maybe bring an Archiplasmor, bring her signature weapon, which we'll have videos about in the upcoming week, bring a kick gun, whatever. Wisp is insane. Have fun fashion framing her. Have fun putting her animation on other frames. Don't buy her with Platinum because she's very, very easy to farm. Like I said, I have a video on how to farm her. Super easy. You can get her after the Chimera prologue. But yeah, I recommend picking this frame up. It's a solid 7 out of 10 for me. To get into the 8, 9, and 10 range, you got to be like, you know, a must pick for like some sort of endurance run. And who knows, dude? Maybe she will find her place eventually, but she's just not there right now, you know? So she's great. She's not going to get nerfed, though. I've seen a lot of people saying that. Definitely not going to get nerfed. There's a lot of frames who do what she does a lot better. So, don't think she's going to get nerfed. I've seen a lot of people saying that. But, yeah, Wisp. She's awesome. Loved her. Thank you guys for watching my video. I love you for watching my video. Like it if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. Subscribe for more Warframe content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.